Section 2 of Samson Agonistes. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Samson Agonistes by John Milton. Section 2. Samson. The chorus. Your coming, friends, revives me, for I learn now of my own experience, not by talk, how counterfeit a coin they are who friends bear in their superscription. Of the most I would be understood. In prosperous days they swarm, but in adverse withdraw their head, not to be found, those sought. We see, O friends, how many evils have enclosed me round, yet that which was the worst now least afflicts me, blindness. For had I sight, confused with shame, how could I once look up, or heave the head, who like a foolish pilot have shipwrecked my vessel, trusted to me from above, gloriously rigged, and for a word, a tear, fool, have divulged the secret gift of God to a deceitful woman. Tell me, friends, am I not sung and proverbed for a fool in every street? Do they not say, how well are come upon him his deserts? Yet why? Immeasurable strength they might behold in me, of wisdom nothing more than mean. This with the other should at least have paired. These two proportioned ill drove me transverse. Tax not divine disposal. Wisest men have erred, and by bad women been deceived, and shall again pretend they ne'er so wise. Deject not then so overmuch thyself, who hast of sorrow thy full load besides. Yet, truth to say, I have oft heard men wonder why thou shouldst wed Philistian women rather than of thine own tribe fairer, or as fair, at least of thy own nation, and as noble. The first I saw at Timnah, and she pleased me, not my parents, that I sought to wed the daughter of an infidel. They knew not that what I motioned was of God. I knew from intimate impulse, and therefore urged the marriage on, that by occasion hence I might begin Israel's deliverance, the work to which I was divinely called. She proving false, the next I took to wife, oh, that I never had, fond wish too late, was in the vale of Sorek, Dalila, that specious monster, my accomplished snare. I thought it lawful from my former act, and the same end, still watching to oppress Israel's oppressors. Of what now I suffer, she was not the prime cause, but I myself, who, vanquished with a peal of words, oh weakness, gave up my fort of silence to a woman. In seeking just occasion to provoke the Philistine, thy country's enemy, thou never wast remiss, I hear thee witness, yet Israel still serves with all his sons. That fault I take not on me, but transfer on Israel's governors and heads of tribes, who, seeing those great acts which God had done singly by me against their conquerors, acknowledged not, or not at all considered deliverance offered. I, on the other side, used no ambition to commend my deeds. The deeds themselves, though mute, spoke loud the doer. But they persisted deaf, and would not seem to count them things worth notice, till at length their lords the Philistines with gathered powers entered Judea seeking me, who then safe to the rock of Etham was retired, not flying, but forecasting in what place to set upon them, what advantaged best. Meanwhile the men of Judah, to prevent the harass of their land, beset me round. I willingly on some conditions came into their hands, and they as gladly yield me to the uncircumcised a welcome prey, bound with 2 cords. But cords to me were threads touched with the flame. On their whole host I flew unarmed, and with a trivial weapon felled their choicest youth. They only lived who fled. Had Judah that day joined, or one whole tribe, they had by this possessed the towers of Gath, and lorded over them whom now they serve. But what more oft in nations grown corrupt, and by their vices brought to servitude, than to love bondage more than liberty, bondage with ease than strenuous liberty, and to despise or envy or suspect whom God hath of his special favour raised as their deliverer? If he aught begin, how frequent to desert him, and at last to heap ingratitude on worthiest deeds. Thy words to my remembrance bring how Succoth and the fort of Penuel their great deliverer contemned, the matchless Gideon in pursuit of Madian and her vanquished kings. And how ingrateful Ephraim, not worse than by his shield and spear had dealt with Jephthah, who by argument defended Israel from the Ammonite, had not his prowess quelled their pride in that sore battle when so many died without reprieve, adjudged to death for want of well pronouncing Shibboleth. Of such examples add me to the roll. Me easily indeed mine may neglect, but God's proposed deliverance not so. Just are the ways of God, and justifiable to men, unless there be who think not God at all. If any be, they walk obscure. For of such doctrine never was there school but the heart of the fool, and no man therein doctor but himself. Yet more there be who doubt his ways not just, as to his own edicts found contradicting, than give the reins to wandering thought, regardless of his glory's diminution. Till by their own perplexities involved, they ravel more, still less resolved, but never find self-satisfying solution. As if they would confine the interminable, and tie him to his own prescript, who made our laws to bind us, not himself, and hath full right to exempt whomso it pleases him by choice from national obstriction, without taint of sin or legal debt. for with his own laws he can best dispense. He would not else, who never wanted means, nor in respect of the enemy just cause to set his people free, have prompted this heroic Nazarite, against his vow of strictest purity, to seek in marriage that fallacious bride, unclean, unchaste. Down reason then, at least vain reasonings down, though reason here aver that moral verdict quits her of unclean. Unchaste was subsequent, her stain not his. But see, here comes thy reverend sire, with careful steps, locks white as down, old Manoa. Advise forthwith how thou oughtest to receive him. Ay me, another inward grief awaked, with mention of that name renews the assault. End of Section 2. Recording by Martin Geeson in Hazelmere, Surrey.